Hi, this is Christina here with the Stage Nature Center. I hope you guys can see and hear me. I apologize for the delayed start here. I was having some technical difficulties with the computer, as some of you have probably seen before. I'm not a tech person, so it's not. Sometimes I have some issues, and which today was one of those. So I apologize for the late start. I think I got things working now. So I hope everybody's doing okay. Let's see. I just want to double check and make sure everybody is seeing and hearing me. Again, I apologize I'm late. Again, this is Christina with the Stage Nature Center coming to you live. And it looks like people are checking in, so I'm glad you found me. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for for your patience as I was working through some technical difficulties. So let's see here. Okay. I'm going to try to watch your comments coming in from a different computer. I'm trying something a little bit different today, so that way I can see what you all are asking me and seeing what you're commenting on. I'm going to try to go back and forth the best that I can. If I don't get to your questions today or during the live stream, I will answer them afterward, and I'll put those in the comments section. But I'll go over just a few things first. If for some reason you're not hearing me, oh, I see somebody says we can hear you. Excellent. Okay. So, again, the building is closed. I say again, some of you, this might be your first time joining us. So the Stage Nature Center building right now is closed while we are closed for the stay-at-home order and the COVID-19. But the trails are open dawn to dusk, so definitely come out and enjoy the trails. And as long as you practice safe social distancing, we're supposed to have some pretty nice days this week, so it'd be a great time to come and get outside. Also, keep in mind that we're not doing programs right now. Our programs have been canceled, so that's why I'm doing these live Facebook programs, so that way we can still join you and you can still learn about some of the stuff that we have here at the Nature Center. So, I'm glad that you guys can join us for that. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention, since our programs are not canceled, we're obviously, like a lot of people are right now and a lot of organizations, we're down in our funding because we are a nonprofit, and the main source of our income comes from our ability to do programs. So if you have it in your means to make a donation, you should be able to make a donation on this Facebook page. I think I was able to get the donate button up today. If you don't want to if you can't make a donation on Facebook, you can make a donation on our website. Today is Giving Tuesday, and we've already seen donations coming in. So if you're one of those people, thank you so much. If you're able to donate, that would be amazing to help us keep feeding the animals that we're here taking care of while we're closed, and to help us make sure that when we reopen, we can continue to do programs for you all. So, we appreciate any donations you all can give. We also have a naming fundraiser going on. And this naming fundraiser is for our brown snake. We've done a naming fundraiser for our green frog. We've done a naming fundraiser for our crayfish, and now we're doing a naming fundraiser for our brown snake. So all these animals that we have been introducing on here, they are animal ambassadors, and we have them here so people can learn about them. They're not our pets. We take good care of them, and we'll take them to the vet if they're sick or need attention, or just for physicals. So just like we would our pets, but they're not our pets. It's important to know that. But we have given them some of them names, and we want to try to get all of them named, just so that way you all can connect with them and know who they are. So for the brown snake, we're going to do a naming fundraiser. We do the same thing we did last week. And I'm going to look at my sheet here to make sure I give you all the instructions correctly. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your best bid to name our resident brown snake on Facebook. So you'll post the amount that you are bidding as a public comment on Facebook. You can start right now during this live stream. And you have to place your bid as a public comment of how much you want to try to bid to name the brown snake. So that way others have the opportunity to view the submitted bids and can try to place a higher bid, just like other types of silent auctions. These bids need to be placed as a public comment on this Facebook post between now and 12 p.m. this coming Thursday, May 7th. That will be when the bidding closes. If someone else places a higher bid, you can try to outbid them by placing a higher bid as a public comment in this same Facebook post. Then you're also going to send us a private message, the Stage Nature Center, a private message on Facebook with the amount that you are bidding and your contact information, so your phone number and your email, and the name that you would like to name the brown snake. We reserve the right, of course, to make sure that the names are appropriate. And in the event that you are the highest bidder, that way we can contact you with the information that you give us in your private message. If you bid more than once to try to outbid somebody, that's kind of the fun of this, then you can please send us another private message to let us know that you did that. And then if you are the winning bidder as of noon on this Thursday, we will contact you with information on how to submit payment online, and payment must be received by this Friday, May 8th at 12 p.m. So that way, on this Friday, May 8th, I can announce the winning bidder as part of our live Facebook stream at 1 p.m. So those are the instructions for this. The instructions will also be posted as a comment. So you can look in this post and look for those instructions as well. So I hope you guys enjoy participating in the bid to name our brown snake, and we appreciate any donations that you're able to make. So that's the naming fundraiser. So like I said, today we're going to meet our brown snake, who is an animal ambassador for us. And like I said, animal ambassadors, they're not our pets. They're with us because we want to be able to teach people about their species, teach people about the native wildlife here in Michigan, and that's what animal ambassadors are. They are representatives of their species, so we can share them with other people. So some of them came to us, some of the animals that we have here came to us because maybe they were found with injuries. Some of them came to us if somebody found them in a spot that wasn't really a great spot for them. We have permits from the Department of Natural Resources to have all of these animals here. Previously, you met our other snake that we have, our garter snake. Her name was Sammy. She's a little bit of a bigger snake than the brown snake. The brown snake is a smaller snake, and the brown snake is also much shyer. So instead of having her right in front of me, what I did this morning is I took lots of video of her. I took video of her while we were feeding her because that gets her to come out. She likes to hide. Brown snakes typically are very shy snakes. They prefer to hide and get away than they do to be out. They tend to be timid, and they're not as likely to bite or attack. Like I said, they're very small and they like to hide. So I took a lot of videos of our brown snake. We're not 100% sure if it's a male or a female. So as far as the naming is concerned, keep that in mind, that you might want to come up with a name that is not based on gender. So we took some video of the brown snake. So I'm going to share those with you all in just a minute here. I know I said some of this in the posts about the garter snake, but just to kind of review a little bit about snakes. Snakes are reptiles, which means that they're cold-blooded. They can't make their own body heat. So they get their heat from their surroundings, or their body is the same temperature as their surroundings. In Michigan, we have 18 species of snakes. One of them is venomous, which is the Eastern Massasauga rattlesnake. And 10 of the snakes that we have here are what we call live-bearing. Now, one of the features of reptiles is that a lot of them lay eggs instead of giving birth to live young. But there are actually quite a few snakes that that give birth to live babies, and brown snakes are one of those. So instead of laying eggs, when they're born, they're live, they're moving around. And then 8 of the other species lay eggs. I'm going to show you in just a minute a poster on the screen here of Michigan snakes. Just a couple other fun things about snakes. I'm going to show you here. I showed this before, but I'm going to show it again. This is the skeleton of a snake. Snakes are vertebrates. They do have a spine. As you can see here, there's a spine. And all of these things coming off the spine, the backbone, are their ribs. In fact, snakes have from 200 to 400 pairs of ribs. So they actually have a lot. A lot of people don't realize that snakes have backbones because of how they move. They don't have legs like we do. They think that they don't have bones in that back, but they do. And actually they have a much longer backbone than we do. So here's the skeleton of a snake. One other thing I want to show you before I switch over to the presentation with the videos is, and you'll see it in the videos, that our brown snake actually just shed. So what they do, since as they're reptiles, as their bodies grow, they shed their skin to allow their body to continue to grow. And this is a shed from our brown snake. And you can, let's see, this is where, oops, let me get this in front. This is where the head was, right there. And one way you can tell if a snake is doing pretty well, if it's pretty healthy, is that when they shed the whole skin together. That's usually a sign that they're pretty healthy. If they have trouble shedding their skin and it comes off in pieces and all broken up, that could be an indication that there's something wrong. Sometimes it might mean there's not enough moisture in the environment. They also use things around them to try to push the skin off of their bodies. So this is a really nice shed. It's a good sign for our snake. And you can't really see it too well in this one. Let me see if I'm going to try to hold it up to the camera. But when they shed, maybe you can see that. They also shed the protective membrane that goes over the eyes too. So if they have a good shed, then you can often see where their eyes were. So that was our brown snake's shed. And I would say our brown snake now is probably about a foot, maybe a little bit less. Our brown snake, she is getting pretty big. She has been eating really well lately, which is great, and we did get some video of that today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen over to what I have to show you the video-wise. Now the first thing I'm going to show you here is the poster of the snakes that we have here in Michigan. So I'm going to switch it over to that, and hopefully you can see that okay, and hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. Okay, so I switched the screen over here, and while I'm switching it over, I'm going to go back and look at the comments and see if I missed any other comments or questions so far. Like I said, I'll do what I can to answer questions while I'm doing this presentation. Oh, somebody asked, how often do they shed? So they shed, they shed, it depends on how much they're eating. It depends on how fast they're growing. During the winter time, they typically don't shed as much because they're not eating as much, and so they're not growing as much. During the winter time, they're just trying to conserve energy, but they do continue to eat. They just don't eat as much. So, you know, I would say maybe once a month. It could be more than that if they're growing faster than that. But one of the things of being cold-blooded is that they don't have to eat as much as we do. And that's how they're able to slow their bodies down so much more than us, because they're not eating all the time and not eating every day like we do. During the winter time, I've seen snakes go a couple of months without eating. because they slow down their body so much. Now, if that happens, they're not going to be shedding because their body's not growing during that time. All right, so here is a picture of the snakes in Michigan. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 18 species of snakes in Michigan. One that's venomous, which is the Eastern Massasauga rattlesnake. This is a poster from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. It's a really neat poster that shows all of the snakes that we have here in Michigan. You can see the different colorations that we have. Some of their names have changed a little bit since this poster was developed. One of the snakes that we have here in Michigan is called the black rat snake. Now they call it the gray rat snake. And actually, this snake is one of 5 species of snakes in Michigan that are protected. Or also called the black rat snake, is what we call a species of special concern. The Eastern Massasauga rattlesnake is a threatened species here in Michigan, along with the Eastern fox snake, which is also a threatened species. And then there's one called the Kirtland snake, that's an endangered species. And the copper belly water snake is also an endangered species. So what this means is that these snakes they're at different levels of having difficulty. Special concern is the lowest level, so they're doing better than a snake that would be endangered. But it means that they're starting to see changes in their population or maybe their habitat, and they're worried that these snakes are going to start having problems. And then threatened is the next level, and then endangered is the level before extinct. So when you're endangered, that means your numbers have dropped significantly. There's not nearly as many of them left. Their habitat is maybe not around as much. And so these are the ones that we really, really need to look for to try to help. Now, we identify the other ones as special concern and threatened because the goal is to try to prevent them from becoming endangered. So these giving them these labels helps us to conserve their resources. It helps protect them, so that way there are laws in place that protect them from people doing activities such as killing them. It's actually against the law in Michigan to kill a snake because of them being protected. Like I said, we have 18 species in Michigan. In the world, there's about 2,900 species of snakes. Now, the largest snake that we have in Michigan is the black rat snake. I mentioned that one, also called the gray snake now. It's about 3.5 to 8 feet long. The largest snake in the world is the green anaconda, which can get to be about 20 to 30 feet long and up to 550 pounds. You're not going to find that here in Michigan. You're not even going to find it here in the United States. You'll see that snake in South America. So snakes, we already mentioned that they are reptiles. Snakes also lack eyelids and external ear openings, so that's something else that makes them different from other animals. But their eyes are covered by that protective transparent scale that I showed you earlier with the skin shedding. Now, something that people also mistake for snakes is that they say that they can unhinge their jaws, which is not quite the case. I'm going to show you a video here in just a minute of our snake eating, and you'll get to see kind of what it looks like. He's eating a worm, so I'm letting you know now, so that way if you don't want to see it eat, you can look away for a few minutes and come back, but he's just eating a worm, and it's a part of what they do. It's actually kind of neat to see them eat, but they don't unhinge their jaws. So I'm going to switch over to the next video here. And actually this one is not of him eating, it's just of him or her moving around a little bit. Our brown snake, again, likes to hide in the plant. So what we did was we tried to lure him out by by showing him some food, him or her some food, so that way it would come out of the plant and we could see it. let me show you the next video. Let's see here. These are just a couple of videos we took this morning of the snake coming out. Another staff member was we're keeping social distancing, wearing masks, but another staff member was up above the tank to lure the snake out so that way we could see it eat. Oh, actually that was the same video. Here's the next video. So one of the things we like to point out about snakes is their tongue. You can see our snake here, our brown snake, using its tongue a lot. It's flicking its tongue because that's one of the main ways they sense their surroundings. That's how they taste, and that's essentially how they smell, so they know what's going on around them. I'm going to play the next video here. Let's see. So this video is of us getting ready to feed the snake. Like I said, the brown snake likes to hide in the plant. So one way to lure the snake out is by getting ready to feed the snake. So, like I said, our brown snake is not a very big snake. It's about 12 inches, but it's really small. It has grown probably at least doubled in size since it came to us, but you can see really well in this video here. You can see its tongue flicking out. They have a forked tongue, so they have at the end of their tongue it splits, and that helps them take in different scents to send to the brain, so they know they can figure out what's going on around them. So when they're really curious about something, the more they're flicking their tongue, the more they're curious, and the more they're trying to find out about their surroundings. Somebody asked, why is the end of their tongue in a V shape? Well, again, that helps them sense different things that are around them, and they can send that to, what they're sensing around them to their brain. So that fork helps them, I guess you could say, cover more area with that. All right, I believe the next video that I have here is the one of the snake eating. So just a forewarning in case you don't like to see that kind of thing. So this is it's not even a whole worm. It's actually a piece of a worm that we're feeding it. There it goes. The snake kind of pulls it back into the plant because, again, brown snakes are very shy. They like to hide. And I do have another video here showing it eat up close. So let me go to that next video. So here you can watch the jaw of the snake. It's really fascinating. The brown snake's already grabbed it, but it's in the process of swallowing that food. But their jaws, like I said, they can't disconnect their jaws like people think. They don't unhinge them. But what they do is they have really stretchy ligaments at the back of their jaws that allow them to open their jaws really wide, because snakes can swallow something whole that's twice the size of their head. They don't really chew it like we do. So they can swallow something that's really big, and they do that by opening up their jaws and stretching those ligaments at the back of their jaws. In the front, let me play that video one more time. I don't know if you can see at the front on the bottom jaw there, he's not doing it a lot, but they also have a ligament that connects the jaw bones on the bottom, and they can move those jaw bones kind of independently of each other, whereas our jaw bones are connected. Our bottom jaw bones, we can't move them independently of each other. Snakes can, because of another stretchy ligament that's kind of like a rubber band at the bottom of their jaw there. Let's see. So here's the next video. Gets another piece of worm. There we go. And our brown snake is small enough that we have to feed the pieces of worm in sections. They can't. Our brown snake is too small to eat a whole worm. Our garter snake that you guys met back in March can eat a whole worm, but our brown snake, we have to cut the pieces smaller because it would be too big for him if we tried to feed a whole worm. So in the wild, they'll eat things like earthworms. One of their favorite things to eat are slugs, and they actually have specialized teeth that allows them to pull slugs out of the snail's shell. They also like to eat grubs. They'll eat things like beetles, and they'll even eat very small salamanders. So like I said, our brown snake is probably about a foot now. They're typically between 9 and 20 inches long. So they are pretty small snakes. They're very fast too. Some of the video that I have here, you'll see shows how fast the snake can move. And they are very shy. They're very secretive. So here's another video. Typically they're found hiding underground or under stones, leaves, or other forms of cover. That's why we have so much cover in the snake's tank. You know, we have the plant, which is its favorite place to hide is in that plant. We have a log in here. We have rocks in here because they really like a lot of cover. So one of the challenges that we like to put to people when they come to the nature center is see if they can find the brown snake, because it's usually in there somewhere where you can kind of see it. You just have to really look because they're really good at hiding, and they have excellent camouflage. You can see that brown down the back. They're typically brown or grayish brown or tan in color with 2 parallel rows of spots, as you can see here in this video, on their back. And they have a pinkish white belly. So it's actually not exactly known in the wild how long they live, but we know that in captivity they can live to be up to 7 years. We don't know exactly how old this brown snake was. This brown snake was found here on our property. It was quite a bit smaller. I would say probably about half the size it is now. So, but it's still hard to know exactly how big it is because unless you have seen them from when they're babies, because their growth depends on the resources that they have in the wild. All right, here's another video of our brown snake. We had to get in really close to the snake to get these good videos because, like I said, our brown snake is not a very big snake. But here you can see it flicking with that tongue again. Remember that they have that forked tongue, and it augments their sense of smell. So right now our brown snake is just taking in all the smells around it and trying to figure out what's going on. Brown snakes are sometimes referred to as city snakes because they really thrive in residential and urban areas. They're not easy to see, and sometimes people mistake them for a worm. So, you have to really look sometimes, especially because they like to hang out underneath logs and leaves, kind of like worms do. They do like moist areas, so you can mistake them for a worm depending on their size. But they're pretty common. They like to live in meadows and marshes, forests, and even agricultural areas. So they're really a diverse snake in the habitat that they live in. Oops. Oh, I think, let's see here. Here's another video. So I know somebody was commenting on how quick the snake is, and here in these next couple of videos you'll get to see just how fast it can move. So this is why I needed help with another staff member to get these videos. We were on opposite sides of the wall from where our tank is. If you ever come in to visit our nature center, which I hope you do when we reopen, you'll see that we have a big wall, and you view the animals from one side of the wall, and on the other side of the wall is where we do the animal care. So I was on one side of the wall, and the other staff member was on the other side, so we could try to get some good video on both sides because our snake is so fast and it can be hard to get some good video of the snake. It's very fast, and they can move very easily. They have specialized vertebrae that allow them to have free lateral movement, but these vertebrae do restrict their vertical movement. Although you can see the snake here, they can move vertically, and there'll be a couple more videos where you can see how well it can move. Some tree climbing species actually can lock their vertebrae to help them in bridging from one branch to another. Now, this species is not considered a tree climbing species, but it can still climb well enough. And there again, you can see how fast it moved. I played the same video so you guys could see it. They also have a lot of muscles along their body, which enables them to do these movements that we see. All right, here's the next video. You can see how much he or she is flicking its tongue, just kind of checking out its surroundings. And let me show you the next video here. Let's see. So this video, the snake actually went and hid underneath the rock. Again, this shows how well they can hide. The other thing you can see in this video is the shed. The snake, when it shed partially underneath the rock, and it used the rock to help pull off that shed, to help pull off those old scales. But we'll lift the rock up here in this video so you can see the snake and just how well they hide underneath things like little rocks. So brown snakes, while you're watching this, I'll tell you about their breeding habits. They tend to breed from July through August. So probably not quite yet. It's a little early for them to be breeding. Again, you can see how fast they are here in this video. They usually give birth to about 10 to 14 young in mid to late summer. And like I mentioned, their young are live. They give birth to live young, which we call, actually, I forget how to pronounce this word, viviparous or viviparous, if I'm saying that correctly. They give birth to live young instead of laying eggs. All right. Show you the next video. I think this might be, well, it's one of the last videos we took, but this one is a fun video because we were able to get up really close to him or her, and you could see the tongue. It's really amazing to watch them breathe too. You can see it breathing, you can see those muscles contracting, you can see its skin, its body moving back and forth as it's breathing. Just watch how fast this brown snake is. It really is quite amazing. All right. Let's show you. Oh, and that was the last video. So now that we watched some of the videos, I'm going to switch back here to a camera. Let's see here. Hold on one second. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing those videos of our brown snake. Like I said, our brown snake is very shy, and we weren't sure how well we'd be able to get him here on video for you to see live. So all of that video was taken this morning. as we were feeding and getting the brown snake some activity. So a lot of people are scared of snakes. Of course, they're one of those animals that that they're just known to be feared. Snakes actually aren't that bad, and they're very important because they do eat things like rodents, that we want them to control those rodent populations, and they eat a lot of different types of insects as well and other animals. So they're an important part of the food chain, and most snakes really aren't that bad. Now, if you get bitten by a snake, and most of our snakes here in Michigan, all but one, are not lethal. And depending on the size of the snake, the bite might be a little bit more painful or a little bit more serious than other bites. And the big thing is to make sure you get that bite cleaned. Like I said, there is the Eastern Massasauga rattlesnake, which isn't very common here in Michigan because its habitat is being destroyed. They like wet, meadowy type areas. And so we're probably not going to see them here at the Stage Nature Center. We haven't seen any here in at least years and years. So that's not a type of snake that you're going to see here. But so even though a lot of people are scared of them, one of the things you can do to help them is learn a lot about them. Share your knowledge with other people. Share your excitement of them with other people, your neighbors, so people know that if they see a snake, they don't have to kill it. It's really not necessary because it's the snake. If you're leaving it alone, it's not going to bother you. And they're such an important part of the ecosystem, and they're really amazing. Some other things you can do is keep in mind that when you put poisons out like rodenticides, that can be harmful to the predators that eat those rodents, those mice and rats. We talked about this before. It affects snakes, it affects birds of prey, it affects other mammals that eat rodents, kind of like coyotes and foxes and things like that. So it's really important to keep that in mind, that if you're poisoning a rodent, you're also going to be poisoning most likely the animals that would eat that rodent. And these rodents, when they're poisoned, oftentimes it might not kill them right away, but it slows them down and it actually makes them easy prey. And then predators will get them pretty easily. So, not using rodenticides is something that you can do to help keep these animals healthy. You can also report sightings of snakes to the Michigan Earp Atlas online, and you can help with conservation that way, so we can learn more about their populations. Also knowing that you shouldn't take wild native snakes home as pets. We've talked about this before, but that affects their populations. And then if you have a snake at home, you don't want to release it, because whatever that snake has been exposed to while it was in captivity can then be introduced into the wild populations. So that's something else to keep in mind, is that if you can't take care of a snake anymore, if you've had one as a pet, find another home for it instead of releasing it. That's really important to do, so that way you're not affecting the wild populations of snakes. And also support efforts to protect snake habitat, like the snakes that depend on areas like meadows, help with the conservation efforts, help people become aware so we're not destroying that kind of habitat. So these are all things you can do to help snakes, and I hope by watching some of the video of our snake and learning a little bit about them, you feel better about them. Doesn't mean that you want to pick up and snuggle with a snake. There are people who like to do that, but it's just so that you have an appreciation of them. So I hope you enjoyed learning about our brown snake today. I'm going to scroll back over to the comments really quickly to see if there were any other questions that I may have missed. Somebody said, would you only tell if it was male or female with x-rays? So there is a way to sex a snake without x-rays. We were able to do it with our garter snake because our garter snake is a lot calmer. And the way you do that is it's not recommended that you do this with a snake unless you really know how, because you can hurt the snake. But it has to do with kind of bending that anal area, that opening at the bottom of the snake, bending it to see what sex organs they have. Because if it's a male, then those sex organs will kind of pop out so you can see what type of, if it's a male or a female. We haven't done that with our brown snake because, like I said, our brown snake is very shy and very scared. It's come a long way from where it was when we first got it. At least now it comes out more easily when we're feeding it, but we don't want to revert that progress by freaking it out by trying to sex it, and we also don't want to harm it either. So we have not done that with our brown snake. So I'm checking back here to see if there were any other comments or questions that I may have missed. If I didn't answer your question, again, after this live Facebook post is ended, I will go back and answer your questions. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed meeting our brown snake and learning a little bit more about snakes today. Just to remind you, you can participate in the naming fundraiser by putting your bids as a public comment on this post, and you have until noon on Thursday to do that. And send us a private message on Facebook with your contact information and with the amount that you bid, so that way we can make sure we are able to get a hold of the winner. Otherwise, come out to the Nature Center, enjoy the trails. Make sure you're practicing social distancing, and I will see you again this Friday at 1 p.m. I'm going to do a somewhat of a virtual trail hike this coming Friday. So I'm going to go out on our trails, and I'm going to show you all what is happening on our trails, what plants are popping up right now. I'm going to get some videos of the wildlife that we have on our trails. We do have a new goose family that I'm going to try to get some video of. We had 2 geese that have been hanging around here for a while that I suspected had a nest, and sure enough, they started showing up with their babies. So it's a lot of fun. And of course, if you come and you see wildlife like that, just be respectful of it. Make sure you give them their distance, so that way you're not scaring them. And also, too, geese can be very aggressive when they're protecting their young. They won't hesitate to chase after you. So just give them your distance if you see them or other wildlife here, and please don't feed them. It is against against our what we allow here to feed the wildlife. So if you come visit them, I know it's tempting, but please don't feed them. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. I will see you this Friday at 1 p.m. and hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you again for anybody who's able to donate. We really appreciate it. All right. Take care. Bye.